our first fighter this evening has the coolest job in the world. He is a government official. Let's hear it for some civil servants in the crowd tonight.
Yeah.
Representing Nordic chessboxing, all the way from the happiest country on the planet, Finland. He is the founder of Helsinki Street Chess. In the white corner, weighing in at 81 kilograms, Tommi TNT Mantysalo! Make some noise! Weighing in at 81 kilograms, height 178 centimeters, all the way from Finland, born in Helsinki. He has a power level of 99. His favorite hobbies are chess and boxing, but also likes food and photography. Make some noise for Tommi TNT Mantysalo! Oh yes! Now first, we had the Excel paperclip, then we had the Terminator, now we have their love child. Sent back in time from your future AI overlords, our next fighter is an adorable automaton. He wants your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, along with your rapturous applause, admiration, and love. In the black corner today, weighing in at 82 kilograms, Anthony Toto the Robot Bourached!
Those that survived some soul who got back in time to stop him in a chessboxing match that would never fade away.
Make some noise for Anthony Toto the Robot, and here he comes! Woo! Look at those moves! He is only human, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Weighing in at 85 kilograms this evening, height 185 centimeters. Born in Dublin, he is also a PhD student. His favorite hobby is world domination and loving. Make some noise for Toto!
It's always a challenge.
Let's hear it one more time for our fighters this evening, Tommi Mantysalo and Anthony Bourached!
We have a Oh, it's
Chess, 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 chess,
Chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess, chess. And we're off. And we're off. So it's E4, C5, the Sicilian defense by Anthony Bourached, a classical. Oh, Bishop C4 has been played by Luke McShane before. Nice, solid stuff, getting your pieces into the center. Could be an interesting attritional contest, Chris Levy.
So yes, Tommi in the Peaky Blinders hat is white, Anthony in the skin-tied suit in black. This is a good standard way of opening, I would say, for Anthony. Tommi played a slightly different way of handling the Sicilian to, as you would classically see, but it's perfectly good. No, Matt?
Yes, perfect. Perfectly good, Chris Levy. So D3, nice and solid. The bishop might drop back to B3. White will castle. Oh, okay. Often in these moves, does he have bishop takes F7? No, he doesn't. So we can all calm down. Bishop G4, Bishop G4. So White has an option here of playing H3, swapping the bishop and the knight.
Could be the first exchange.
Muted cheer from the crowd there. And he's played it! He's played H3. Bishop takes F3, threatening the queen. He's threatening the queen. Tommi, new to this. He's not an experienced player. I'm assuming he'll see it, but it's not guaranteed. And I believe he has. I think he's seen it. I think he's seen it. Queen takes F3.
It's an exchange. Let's talk about what we're trying to do at the start of the game here, man. What are our objectives?
Well, generally, pawns in the center, you get your knights out and your bishops out. Knight to e5 is an interesting move here. This is called a fork. The knight is attacking the queen on f3, but it's also attacking the bishop on c4. So when the queen moves, White can't do anything about that bishop on c4 dropping off and damaging his pawn structure. What are your thoughts, Tim Woolgar?
Yeah, I think that damaged pawn structure could be a real long-term problem for White, couldn't it? Because pawns support each other. When you have one in front of the other one like that, they can't support each other. So it's like having a lone rider out exposed and liable to be snapped up at any time by your opponent.
Absolutely. I mean, White has got this half-open d-file crying out for a rook. Ideally, he'd have that knight on c3 called what's known traditionally as a Moroxy bind position. But actually, that knight on b1 is a little bit poorly positioned. He's going to have to work quite hard to get it into the game. Perhaps maneuver it into e3 so it's covering the d5 square. But actually, I think Black is going to be reasonably happy with this. But White, the less experienced player, the White in the Peaky Blinders cap, he's putting himself out there. He's doing a decent job, Chris.
No, I mean, it's level on material, and that, frankly, is all you want. You want a playable position out the opening, and then it's really after the boxing that things start to get interesting. It's all very well and good to play decent moves now, but what about when you've been punched in the head?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are guaranteed to see an impactful round of boxing. One side isn't dramatically better than the other. So the first boxing round, which is coming up in less than 1 minute, could be absolutely vital.
And Tommi has occupied that d-file as you were calling out for there, man. That's good play.
That is good play. Thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, getting the rook opposite your opponent's queen is always a good idea, but the queen's moved, sidestepped to get out the way. Obviously, the putting a little pressure on that e4 pawn now as well.
That which is no bad thing, given that the knight on d2 wants to move at some point. So, key thing, White has doubled c-pawns. Generally, double pawns are not a great idea, but Black has this backwards d6 pawn. Ideally, Black would be moving that pawn 1 square forward, but he's got to be careful. White's covering it twice. The knight on f6 is being attacked by the bishop, so he can be captured at any time. And once that knight on d2 moves, the rook will be attacking it, but that's the bell, and we're going to see some boxing!
Pretty even first round of chess, though. You can't say there's any advantage on one side or the other. Nothing decisive, anyway.
Yeah, I would say shadow boxing there, Tim. Actually, the double C-pawns, we were talking about them a lot, but they do give White a degree of control over the center here. The backward of the two controls the d4 pawn, then the c4 along with the e4, as you call it, the Moroxy bind there, Matt, do restrain that d5 break that Anthony's going to be looking to get through at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the e4 pawn is maybe a little weak, but it's certainly well protected at the moment.
I think so. I think so. I mean, White can play e5 when he wants as well, and which obviously could lead to a swap of the E and D pawns, which he doesn't necessarily want. I think that, given that Anthony's got the advantage on the chess front, I think White should be very, very proud of that, but he needs to take advantage of it in the boxing. So the betatted Tommi Mantysalo against the Irish Anthony Bourached. This is going to be a critical bout. Tim, what would you be looking for in the first boxing match after such an even chess round?
Yeah, you want to see someone who's going to go out and try and take the initiative, go on the attack and really let his opponent know that he's coming in under pressure and he's in a fight. What you really want to avoid is trying to be too passive. It's difficult, of course, you want to feel your opponent out, but if you are able to find the wherewithal to come out aggressively in the first round without exposing yourself too much to risk, but just simply build up the pressure and keep it on, then you'll do well in this fight, I think.
I was talking to Anthony backstage before the fight, and it's his third bout now, and he's been training up in Dublin really quite hard, he says, over the last few months.
Well, yeah, that's right. Although he told me in the changing rooms earlier that his strategy was to try to put on some weight before the fight and then cut in the last few weeks. He certainly succeeded in the first part of that plan, I will say.
Well, it sounds like an enjoyable training regime and one that I could certainly subscribe to, Tim.
And here we go.
Let's hope it stands him in good stead. They're both, though, about even in weight. As I say, Anthony coming about 3 kilos above, but within the range for this fight.
Mm-hmm. Carrying a bit of a reach advantage there, so Anthony will be looking to establish the jab. Tommi TNT Mantysalo is coming with some vocal finish support today. Oh, Anthony, that's the most aggressive I've seen him coming out, certainly. Lands a good right to the body, takes a jab to the face. This is the most aggressive I've seen Anthony in his 3 fights so far, most definitely.
Well, Anthony Bourached certainly looking the part as he's coming in and piling it on his opponent as he needs to do. His failing in previous fights has been that he tends to start well, but then has a tendency to drop his hands and get caught in the counter. So let's see if he's learned anything from previous experience.
Well, of course, in Anthony's first fight, he played very well in the chess and then got knocked out incredibly early on and then came back in the second fight to win, I think, in about 7 or 8 rounds. He's really ladling into TNT here, isn't he?
It's TNT on the ropes there. I had to admit, I thought, judging by the tattoo bounce, TNT might be the aggressor here, but actually, he's grabbing onto the ropes there for a bit of a breather. You can see blowing quite hard already. Anthony standing tall, establishing a good solid jab, which really is what you want to fight off of there. The jab sets up everything, Tim.
That's right. A good jab will certainly win you a fight.
Yeah, he's following up with the right hand, which we've seen to the body a few times and to the head as well. Yep, there, trying the right too. This is certainly a new aggressive Anthony Bourached.
And now this is where Anthony Bourached. Oh, and that was a push.
Some manhandling there.
He's down.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing that. I don't mind letting your opponent know that you're there.
There was nothing wrong with it. His opponent just lost his balance. But no, now Anthony needs to find some extra energy and finish strong in this round the way he started. And if he can do that...
Oh, and that's the bell. That's the bell.
Yeah, not enough time there. And again, slightly indecisive. Probably similar to the chess in some ways, in that no real decisive advantage opened up there. But certainly the black corner seemed to have a little bit more the better of it.
I think both fighters might be happy with their supposed weaker suits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm so sorry, Chris. No, because I think Anthony would possibly have come into this thinking, oh, well, I'll always have the chess, and it might be a case of surviving in the boxing. Tommi has really handled himself magnificently in the chess so far, but then Anthony, as we said, came out strongly. I think perhaps, as Tim alluded, he could have finished more decisively, and he might see that as a missed opportunity. This feels like a very, very big round of chess, because actually White could play the e5 pawn break and change nature of the position. Black could try and play d5 and change nature of the position.
Well, the first move is all important because it's so easy to make a mistake when you just come down from that totally intense adrenaline environment of the chess boxing, of the boxing ring, Now you've got to make a move. So, would it be a good move? Whose move is it to be?
I believe it's black. I think white just played knight f3. White is also significantly down on the clock, which if he ends up losing time in this fight, he could be in real trouble come round. And we're back!
Yeah, I can see maybe d5 coming. Oh, no.
Oh,
which is the
h6,
king. Okay.
h6, he's threatening the bishop. White's bishop is under threat, ladies and gentlemen. Will he spot it? Is he going to capture the knight? He has! He's captured the knight. The position has changed. The bishop has come off for the knight. So is white going to choose to play e5 now? Little bit risky, the backwards d pawn. Oh, b4. b4, a really interesting move. Is bishop take c3 possible here, Chris?
I believe it is. B4 looks like it might be worth trying to crack
And
on
he's
the queen's
done
side,
it!
but he's
Black's
dropped
won
a
a
pawn.
pawn!
He's dropped a pawn. It's also worth
That's
talking
not
about the time on the clocks here as well. So
That's
Tommi,
not just one pawn, is it? That's a fork, I believe.
Yeah, that's absolutely,
It's true, yeah.
absolutely. The B pawn, which white has just moved, but he's a nice little intermezzo there,
excellent.
attacking the queen, which Anthony spots, calmly moves it back, and then white plays rook from E1 to F1. So, ladies and gentlemen, we saw a bishop swapped for a knight, but then white lost a pawn on C3. So you can assume if all of the big points, that's not right, pieces come off, and we're left with just the kings and the pawns, then black is going to win. But there's a long way to go, Tim Woolgar.
Yeah, there is, and this is pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? Though I would say white's rook, which has retreated to the F1 square, not looking so happy, doesn't look like it has an easy way out of and into the game at the moment, because that bishop covers the A1 square too.
But queen to D3 is an interesting move. So now the bishop had to drop back to E5 to protect that D6 pawn that was attacked. So white can choose to inflict double pawns of their own. So knight takes E5 is the kind of obvious move here. Then the pawn takes back, and you'll notice the position will look very, very symmetrical. The difference being that black has an extra doubled pawn, but he's not done it. He's moved the knight. They say knights on the rim are dimmed. Ladies and gentlemen, where on earth is that knight going? And rook to A2, right into the heart of the position. I think the tide is swinging back into black's favour, Chris.
Is white preparing a break on F4, do you think? Or
I think that's what he's aiming for, but that would just open up things further on the second rank for black, who's just penetrated with his rook, and therefore white is opposing that with his own rook.
Oh, there we go. Love it, love it. Rook F to A8. We've swapped off a pair of rooks. So you see that black has this very, very active rook on the bottom left corner of the board on A2. White's rook, by contrast, is doing a little bit less. It's behind the B pawn, so he can push that to attack the queen. But I fear for white here. The queen, the rook, and the bishop are all decisively maneuvering. I can see moves like bishop to d4, attacking that weak pawn. Oh, it's okay. F4, he's attacking the bishop. Bishop check. White's dark squares are looking very, very drafty, aren't they, Chris?
Yep, he's coming under attack, and really look at that clock as well. So he's got less than 3 minutes. Anthony, playing black, had twice that amount of time to press home his advantage, and is attacking white's queen as well.
Oh dear, I'm fearing for white, ladies and gentlemen. His time is ticking down. He's a pawn down. Black has maneuvered all of his pieces superbly.
White needs to go on the attack here, surely. Get that queen in front of his opponent's king. Try anything at this point.
I agree. It's becoming, even though there's only a pawn in it, there's a danger it becomes a bit of a Hail Mary situation. So rook to F2, and threatening rook takes F4, because then if the queen took on F4, the bishop could play bishop E5, skewering the queen and winning the game. So there's a nice little strategy here for black. Is he going to spot it?
Is he going to spot this? This would be an awesome move.
Rook takes F4 is the move. I mean, queen to A2 is very strong as well. There's a lot of decent moves here, and he's not seen it. But actually, queen D2 is very good, isn't it, Chris?
Everything covers itself. All the black pieces support themselves. That bishop is anchored down. The time is up. White survives.
Things moving along nicely on the chessboard.
Things moving along. I mean, I think white is in a ton of trouble here, because I think timing-wise he might not even survive the round. And that knight is so badly placed on H4. Really a testament.
Sorry, Karen. Yeah.
No, go on, Chris.
I was going to say there's a real missed opportunity to play knight takes bishop on E5, not only inflicting the double pawns, but he had the rook on D1, the queen on D2. He could have played queen D7. Sure, it gives black a chance to exchange queens.
He's got a chance there, hasn't he? If he can bring the knight back to F3 and fork the queen and bishop, maybe keep the game going a bit longer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
that'll be the route.
Knight F3 is a very good move here, and I think it's pretty much the only move.
The only move, isn't it?
It's the only move. And there's a world where, unfortunately, what White's problem is he can't activate the rook via the A file.
No.
But so I think you might have to trade the knight off for the bishop and just hope you get some pieces and pawns rolling.
Maybe
Letting
try and
that
push F5
bishop get into D4 was an absolute strategic blunder, wasn't it?
It was. F4 was a mistake. I think B4 was the big one. But F4 and allowing bishop D4 check, which Anthony played immediately.
Yeah, I believe in knight takes bishop to get the bishop on, or bishop takes knight rather for white, to allow the black bishop in on F6 in the first place. I'm not sure that exchange was entirely necessary.
No, perhaps not. So there's been a few
There's a word
small
for that
issues
bishop,
here.
and I've got a word for it. It is monster bishop.
It is an absolute monster. So I think Tommi in the purple pants is going to have one heck of a boxing round.
Yep, that's right. And so far, it's not looking like it's going to happen because Anthony has opened up the second boxing round the way he did the first, all-out attack.
Yep, landing a couple of good rights there, one to the face and then to the body as well. I do like this new aggressive, slightly more built-out Anthony Bourached, I have to say. And
you see, he's got the reach. He doesn't need to get involved, but he does need to stay active. Keep moving and keep throwing.
Yep, he backs that jab up. It's the 1-2. It's the most effective combination often. Simple, nothing flashy, but it really does establish dominance. And Tommi attempting to fire back, but
that's slightly wild, though. Slightly wild.
Getting manhandled a bit by Anthony in there as well. A little bit of wrestling. You often see him getting thrown into the ropes. Anthony's asserting his physical dominance here, and his chessic dominance as well.
I think if we assume that White has to go all for nothing in the chess, if Anthony can play fairly solidly in the next round, use that extra time, then the chess is pretty much sewn up.
I would just run.
Huge overhand right from Tommi there. Luckily for Anthony, it didn't quite connect, but it came very close. And he goes again.
Yep. Going for the haymaker. I think the haymaker is what he needs
to do it.
Whether in the ring or over the board. You see he was giving it the big wind up there.
You could see it's winding up almost from his knees, but if it ever connects, it's good night, Anthony, I'm afraid.
It was
and we've seen that happen before. We know Anthony, if he has a weakness.
Oh, Tommi in with really the best passenger play so far.
That's a big right there. Followed by a left. Back comes Tommi. Dynamite stuff here.
Anthony survives the round, but a real turn, a real twist of fate at the end there, which is going to make the next round very interesting.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
He needed to throw everything, and he did.
Yep, hopefully he'll carry the wind in his sails with him now to the chest, because he certainly needs to turn things around after it turned against him in the second round there.
So now it's White to move, and in my view, White has got one chance, and that's knight F3. Bring the knight back in from the edge of the board, and to the square that's just ahead of the black rook.
Yep.
I mean, I think a move like Rook D1 first would also be possible. I think Knight F3 is definitely the right idea. Basically saying, my knight move was a little bit of an error. It's not coming into F5, which is what he really wants. But I mean, like if Black were to play a move like E5 here, that would be absolutely catastrophic. But Anthony's too strong a player to do that. So Tommi also massively down on the clock. He's going to have to do a really, really good job to survive this, and then win the next round of boxing. Like literally knock Anthony out. Otherwise, it will be decided in the following round of chess.
With 2
I'm
minutes.
sure the White would love to have that knight on F5 ahead, so it can start maybe threatening the Black King. But if he tries to push that pawn, it's going to be curtains.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Black just played his queen into D2. His pieces are circling around the Black King, whose dark squares are not looking great. Black is attacking the pawn on F4. If that drops, okay, Rook to D1. Rook to D1, which is defended by the queen, but the queen has taken the pawn on F4. A nice professional job from Anthony. He is now 2 pawns up, and he's swapping off queens, which is going to make his job a lot easier.
Yep, so when the queens come off, those 2 pawns advantages.
I love it. Bishop E5. Bishop E5 here. So queen takes queen. Are we going to see bishop takes queen? We're entering the end game. It's check. It's check. We're entering the end game, ladies and gentlemen. We're entering the end game. White is in a lot of trouble, and his clock is ticking mercilessly down.
And he's about to lose another pawn, Matt.
He is indeed. That white bishop really needs to get activated. If he can somehow sneak it into a7, win that pawn on the top left corner of the screen, maybe his pawn can run down. Oh my God, bishop e3 will win. Bishop e3. Oh no, hang on, that's an illegal move. Ignore me. I got excited for nothing. Too much Christmas cheer.
The knight can only move 2 spaces and then 1 across. Yeah.
This is the problem, Tim. It's been so long since I moved a knight. There's such complex pieces. Oh dear.
And Tommi is down to less than 1 minute with a very difficult position here, Matt.
Very difficult. Anthony is just mopping up the pawns. This is frankly cruel, but I think we will see one more round of boxing. One last hurrah for White to knock Anthony's block off.
That's got to be the strategy. Survive this tricky position, get through. He's got 2 more minutes of chess to get through here.
It's a check, but it does nothing. It's an ersatz check. G3 attacking the bishop. Anthony will see it, and he does. The bishop drops back to E5. He's so many pawns up. All of those pawns, potential queens. Tommi is speeding up. Oh, rook takes G3. Are we heading towards a checkmate? Is this a mating net? Can you see a mating net?
The king is getting desperately short of
It's checkmated too. It's checkmated too. King goes to H5, and rook G5 is checkmate. Oh my goodness me.
Here it goes.
It's over.
What a battle.
What a battle. What a couple of performers.
Let's hear it for the black corner.
And that's a first win in the chess boxing arena for Anthony Bourached. Awesome night for him. He must be feeling fantastic right now.
Particularly, I think his boxing performance. I mean, certainly the chess is professional was the word you used, Matt. But the boxing was a new Anthony that we saw there.
Yeah, that's right. Last 2 bouts, he finished on the canvas, and he's picked himself up, and he's rethought his whole game and come back a different fighter.
And our winner
Phoenix from the flames, really him.
Fight
Very impressive.
Really nicely done.
Anthony Toto the